I have got you all with me, I have indeed. I don't plan on going anywhere. For some reason, F1 games, being F1 games, they like to crash. I don't know why. I don't know if it's something with the game or with spectators, because nothing else ever does this. It never crashes twice within 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. But we're good to go. I'm in spectate, so I'm not going to end up on the grid. But it is all on intermediates again, so it's not changed from what it originally was. We have got the same race going on for us. Sorry about that, bit of disturbance in the background there. It's people trying to talk dead loud in the hall, which isn't very helpful. It's quite annoying, actually. I'm hoping they can somewhat just slightly hear me and shut up. But there we go. The grid is still the same as what it was when they qualified. So nothing's changed in that regard. All on the same tyres, of course, all on intermediates. So we're all ready to go on equal tyres. It depends on who decides to go for that one stop halfway through the race and who decides to go for a two stop. Pitting once every third of the race, once every 8 to 9 laps. Probably say it's better to pit every 9 laps, because then you've, well, I say every 9 laps, pit lap 9, pit lap 18 and just go 10 laps in the final stint, because you don't want to be pitting on lap 27, they're broken. But we'll be lining up to the grid, and it shouldn't, the lights should go out this time. The game shouldn't do what it done the last time, which is quite annoying. Everyone's all lined up on the grid and ready to go. The 5 red lights are out and away we go. Katami's has already got a penalty. He's jump started way early, decided to carry on going early, so he's got a decent lead into turn 1. But it's really against Kieran and Brutus, as the Haas of KC goes pretty wide. So that Mercedes is in the lead of this race pretty much. Katami's is going to have to save a drive-through penalty. Brutus in P3 currently is only 6 tenths behind Dan Morris in 4th. He's lost out a position on the Williams. He won't be very happy with that start. Both the Mercedes and the Williams have made very good use of those fresh inter tyres to get off the line well, so they should be happy about that. So his position, Dan won't be happy about that. He's put himself into an awkward spot. We've got Bounds going on here, 3 wide into the hairpin. Crikey. And my man's dropped down about 7 positions. He's really struggling on this first lap. He might have wing damage, I'm not quite sure. We got blue flag passing Rom Elson down into the hairpin. That's blue flag up into 11th. Zombie's gained a few positions and has overtaken his teammate. So that's Junkie in P10 and Zombie in P9. Rom's struggling a little bit with those wet conditions. Just the back end getting a little loose on him. Breads at the moment. Dropped the loaf in the puddle, unfortunately, and it's all going bad for him on the first lap. He's dropped quite a few positions. Now he's lost a fair bit of time. Katami's has pit in to take that drive-through penalty for jumping the start. It's going to put him practically at the back of the grid. So unfortunate for him, but you know it kind of was his fault. He jumped the start. Catamese things. Not to say it. Hey, we love him anyway. The tables are going wonky again. I don't know why that's happening. Kieran's got himself a 3-second penalty. Multiple warnings on the track limit, but Brutus is really putting the pressure on him right now. So, no, that's what the table says is wrong right now. Matt's not leading. I don't know where he is, but he's not leading. Kieran's in P1. He's got Brutus behind him in P3. Dan's in 4th with Oscar behind him in P5. Oh, right. There we go, the table's fixed. Kieran P1, Brutus P2, Dan 3rd, Oscar's in 4th. That's what it should be, but knowing the game, the table will mess up again. Don't know why it's been like this in the past 2 games, don't know why it's not fixed on this one. It's too much for my little brain to take in. The gaps are already starting to spread throughout the top sections of the grid. We've got some good battling going on in the midfield. Is that two wide? Oh, contact between the two. Catamese and Max just about gets around the outside of the second to last corner. Pretty decent overtake from Catamese. There's a little bang to about the middle of that triple right-hander, but it wasn't resulting in a crash, so that's all good. That little tap's not that bad, is it? Captain Chubbs all over the back of blue flag. The first sector, there's not many overtaking opportunities, but I don't think Captain Chubbs cares. Right around the outside of turn 5, and he's actually managed to get past blue flag. So it's actually a really good overtake from Captain Chubbs. Well done. Well done, Captain. Should be proud, as he goes to the wide. Don't think he'll get a warning after that. Junkie Sport's gone and got himself a penalty, now only 3 laps into the race. So Rob Elson managing to find a way past Zombie in the McLaren on lap 3, but that's going to put the McLaren right back in the slipstream. That is not where Rom wants Carl to be. Luckily for Rom, couldn't quite get enough of a toe to try and overtake in the hairpin. There also a good start from Lee, started near down the back, I believe it was 15th, maybe. So we shall see what he can do throughout the rest of the races. He's already showing he's not too shabby in the wet, he hasn't spun yet. But let's see what position changes now. Lee Carl's went up 2 positions. Not quite. I thought he was a little further down than 13th from the start of this race, but AO. Lee Carl is in 11th from 13th where he started. So, the biggest gainers in this race seems to be Captain Chubbs. He is now in P12. He started P19 last. A very good start from Captain Chubbs. He's up 7 positions. He catches a massive slide there. It's more of a massive twist than a massive slide of stars. He'll be shaking in his boots after that one, a little scary one. Might want to push a little less so he keeps the car in the same place. But Chubbs, your biggest gainer so far. We got Catamese with his jump start. He's using the overtake through the S section. Very daring. He has lost 10 positions because of that penalty. We've all been on this tyre for 3 laps apart from Matt and Bred. They've all got a bit of a ways to go to the cars in front, but they will have to pit again. So we'll see how the strategy works out. I do think I probably will put them on the back foot. I think they might have pit in from damage, possibly. That's the only reason I can think of them pitting in. So it's unfortunate for them, but they're hanging in. They're hanging in for now. which is what we want to see. Kieran and Brutus. Dan Morris has managed to get past Oscar and he's closing down the gap on the front two. So it's looking like a good battle for the lead. It's pretty much a four-way battle for the lead as we start lap 5. You could possibly say a 5-man battle for the lead if you want to factor in W11. He is only 3.2 seconds behind the leader, and he's had some very difficult conditions we're in. So it's a good showing from the lads so far, especially the top 5. Kieran's not getting a chance to breathe. He's got to keep pushing as Max gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Casey Bernard leading Nexus Cats into the first of the 2 hairpins. I don't think Nexus Cats is quite close behind to get enough of a slipstream to attack. He's too far behind. Captain Shubs made his way past Lee Colliver hairpin. He got a better exit than Lee and he can't quite get an overtake back on those catamarans that also played second on Captain Shubs. We got Jumps trying to find his way past Junkie to get in that top 10 to get in a point paying position. But a decent show for Catamarans. He's recovering decently in the wet weather at a tricky Kota circuit, especially after a time penalty. That will be quite frustrating. He's using up a fair bit of his battery. Junkie's used up all of his battery. Oh, he's used up all his deployable battery this lap at least. Carl fighting hard. It's not letting Captain Chubbs by easy. It's making him work for it. We'll see how much battery he's got when he crosses the line. He has 30%. So an alright bit of battery, but you might want to think a bit conservatively as Chubbs tries it right down the inside. The Junkie's still doing well to hold on around the outside. Definitely showing that he is racy. Oh, contact between the two. That has sent Junkie cutting corner. His contact with Cat as Cat comes through on the racing line. And that's Carl's race essentially over, unfortunately, unless there's a safety car. He is down in P7 so far. Don't know what's happened to Sai there. If he got caught up in something, maybe. I don't quite know. That was a bit of a strange one. Don't know if Sai just lost the back end or something. Stage 1. Bread has also acquired a 3-second penalty. Dan going down the inside of that double left, trying to get a move on Brutus. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get anything into the fast right-handers. So it's a little too much to try and do, especially here with a corner like that. You really compromise your exit, so there's not really an opportunity to set up for the triple right-hander. So it's more of, I've got to get this move with the air-pin, otherwise I'll snook it. Well, good driving from the lads at the front so far. We're still managing to hold close with each other. Kieran managing to get out of the slipstream of Brutus, so he's doing well so far. That little battle with Dan has definitely hampered Brutus in his quest for the race win. KC getting a penalty. It's just so easy around this track to get yourself penalised, especially when you get put with conditions like this. It's raining, as you can see. It just makes it even more difficult to keep the car within those pesky white lines. No one likes those white lines, let's be honest. But we have to deal with them nonetheless. it's a formality, unfortunately. But I just want to show just a moment just how brilliant this camera angle is coming through that triple or quadruple right-hander, whatever you wish to call it. It's a really nice camera angle. It just that doesn't help. No, there it is. There we go. Fantastic little camera angle there, especially good when you've got two cars battling. Reduces quite the screen cap, if I may say so myself. Just highlights how great these cars actually are, both in the way they look and in performance. Ron trying to find a way to close that gap up to... Ron trying to close that gap up to Zombie. We also have Nexus right on the back of KC. So he's closed up and he's trying to figure out a way to get around that Haas car. He's definitely got extra pace through that first sector. That means almost... Cat's almost pushing KC through the first sector there. So he gets very close to the back of that Haas. That has to be frustrating for Cat. Just seeing the car in front, he knows he's got the pace but he can't quite get through. He's going to have an opportunity on the straight. He is nice and close. He'll have the slipstream, but he hasn't got the energy to defend Casey Bernardas. This is putting Katz in a great opportunity to get himself an overtake. The slipstream's becoming effective just at the wrong part of the straight. Unfortunately for Kat, he can't quite find a way to get through. So a great battle between the Haas and the Renault so far. With this gap at the front, these gaps between the lads are starting to spread out a little bit as the laps go on and the tyres grow old and the track stays wet. So it's more of a test of who can drive the quickest but also be smooth enough to not kick the rear out of the car or not spin or not make that mistake that costs you a penalty. Because it's so frustrating when that happens because you want him to push around his track as much as he can, especially in the first sector, because it's just great to drive when you go on high speed, and you get a penalty for it because you go just a little bit too wide and it ends up costing you a bit. So Kieran will have to stick his foot out just a little more harder, so just press the throttle a little harder to go quicker. I wish it was that simple. But he's looking like he can do it. He's set pole by a couple tenths. He's got himself a good gap. He's not using too much energy. We can see that Brutus and Dan are both having their own battle. It's going to cost them time, especially when they start actually jostling for position and when they're starting to use up that battery and having to save it back up again. You just see Dan trying to find a way down the inside now. It's been a better attempt than it was the last time. It's going to allow him to try the outside, but he's not quite got the road to do it. He's actually sticking it in. He's got his nose around the back but can't quite get around that Williams just yet. He's going to have to wait another few corners to have another go at him. He's definitely got the first corner to try. It's an uphill hairpin. So it's a lot easier to try and get that lead beat, but he doesn't go for it. I actually expected him to go for it. And this is helping Kieran out. He's now extended that gap to 1.8, 1.9 seconds. So this battling is exactly what Kieran needs to get outside of that penalty range. And he'll just be hoping that the two lads behind him also trip over themselves a little bit and get themselves a penalty. gap to leader? Let's see. It's 1.9 between Brutus and Kieran, 2.6 between Dan and Kieran, 3.5 between Oscar and Kieran, and 4.1 between W11. Kieran, so the top 5, that was actually really close. And the opening laps has started to spread out quite a bit. Well, I say quite a bit, it's only 4 seconds, but it has started to spread out a bit. Let's take it back onto the intervals. Got a battle going on here between Captain Chubbs and Ron Elson. Couldn't quite get the move into the hairpin slipstream, and the ERS just not quite as effective as he'd want it to be. Junkie Sport having a little bit of a blunder in the first sector, unfortunately. It's a tough one for him tonight. He's definitely got the pace there to do well. It's just sometimes luck doesn't go his way and little mistakes don't help either. We've all been there. We've all dropped the back in a wet race. I've dropped the back in a wet race when I could have won it. It still haunts me to this day. I had to wait an extra 2 seasons to get my race win. Paul never lets me live that down. Academy's gone to have a fight. Ooh, Carter, what have you done? Has he just... I think Carter probably just bumped him coming into the pits, more than likely. There's no damage for the front wing on both of their cars. A new set of intermediates for both of them then. We also have a Renault. That is Ron, I believe. Is that Ron? Which Renault is it? Why is it showing 3 cars up as a Renault? I don't get very confused. There's no safety car. I'm sure there's no safety car. I'm getting very confused. Why is there a safety car? This is interesting. I don't see any incidents that have been worthy of a safety car. That'll be why. That'll be why everyone's pitting. That is very strange. I know it did say serious collision with Catamies and Chubbs, but there was no damage on both of their cars. Yes, Junkie had a little bit of a spin, but that shouldn't bring a safety car out. I am very confused.com. This is strange. Junkie getting himself in the front wing and a set of wet tyres. This is interesting. So Junkie's gone for something different compared to everyone else. He thinks the rain's going to get worse. So he's gone with a set of wet tyres. Captain Chubbs has just overtaken Cat under the safety car. I'm unsure to what that's for. Can somebody enlighten me? Because I'm having a blunder right now. I'm not exactly sure what's caused that. This is very weird. What is going on? I don't know why there's a safety car. There's not been any instance worthy of one. If anything, this is good for Carl. Because he's made a stop, and he's had a troublesome race so far. Gives him a chance to start over, but I don't see that wet tyre being the right tyre. I think that's not really went well for him, unfortunately. I don't see it getting wetter. Unless it does, and Carl has just come out with a mad one and just decided that he's the new Einstein or something. A big brain moment, and he ends up actually gaining himself quite a bit of time. I don't think that wet's the best tyre, you know. It's lighting up the back a bit. Not enough standing water for those wet tyres to kick up. Just stays stable. He's junkie popping back into the pits. Everyone having a little wiggle in a straight line behind a safety car, getting a bit of heat into those tyres. Dude needs a hot water bottle. The junkies decided to retire, and I don't blame him, to be honest. It's been an unfortunate night for him tonight. He does put a lot of effort in, but sometimes it doesn't quite go his way. I think it's like that for everyone at some point or another. It's definitely been like that for me a few times, but saying that it is me. Now the safety car is coming in this lap, so the whole grid is being slowed down. Brutus is definitely getting close to that Mercedes. He's showing a sign of intent. He's not going to make it easy for Kieran to win this race, and I don't think Dan is either. Kieran's already got his foot down, and there's not much Brutus can do to respond to that off the start of the safety car restart. Actually, I say that the slipstream's working out really well. Brutus is up the inside. Best seat in the house for this has Dan. Tiny bit of contact between the two, and Brutus has managed to make his way up into P1. First time a Williams has led the race in quite a while. So good job from Brutus there. Speaking of real life, I'm not sure if Brutus has led another race this season, but he's doing fantastic so far. He's definitely showing his skill in the wet weather, so is Kieran and Dan. A good showing from the three of them so far tonight. Mike's happy that he's not racing tonight. I don't blame you, Mike. I don't blame you. Catamese and Chubbs having their own battle into that second hairpin. Catamese trying it around the outside. No, Chubbs is trying it around the outside actually. Cat using that inside line to defend and stave off his teammate from getting back past. So as Cat moves up into P7. Now with this penalty that Cat had to save, he has obviously lost a lot of time, but with a safety car he's actually gained a lot of that time back. So it's worked out somewhat pretty well for Catamese. So we'll see what he can do with the other half of the race to go. As Chubbs gets a little sideways. Still got plenty of time to make up a fair bit of ground. Just misses the apex a little bit, Katz does. Red getting himself a 3-second penalty. He is down in P17 with Lico behind him in P18. Dan trying to find a way to get past that Mercedes. It's looking like Kieran's not quite had the pace that he had before the safety car, after the safety car. It's a really good, nevertheless it is a really good show from the three of them. It's just things are all a little bit closer now. And his life has been made a fair bit harder. It's good for us, not good for him though. Kieran has dropped down to P3. Dan Morris has found a way past. It's a good overtaking there. We've got Nexus Cats trying to find a way past Casey Bernardi. Goes for the overtake around the outside of the triple right-hander. Oh no. Has Catamese lost his win? Did he ghost just on time? What's happened there? Oh, another car's gone at that triple right-hander. It's a nightmare for some tonight. That corner it's just one of those things, it's so long, the corner, that is. It's just so long, and it's one of those high-speed corners, it's putting a lot of stress on those outside tyres, and with it being the wet and the handling model, it just makes life harder to get through the corner. You push a little much, and then you've had that massive risk of spinning out. But luckily for everyone else's case, he's funny ghosted. So that was a scary one. It's pretty close. But Kieran's dropped back a second and a half, just under, from Dan since he managed to get past. So it is starting to spread out a little bit on lap 15. As always, the midfield has got some good racing. A bit of a train going away. Brutus leading the way by 9/10. Stan Morris has closed that gap back up. That was opened when he was trying to fight Kieran in the Mercedes. He's now managed to close that gap up most of the way. He is within DRS, but as you can see, it's ruinous, so there's no DRS. This made life a little bit harder, but they both have a lot of energy to both attack and defend with. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use it. Both using it on the start-finish straight. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out with these two. I think it's going to be something that's settled on raw pace. I'm not really sure strategy is going to play much of a part in this, because they can go the rest of the race, I reckon. They already went pretty much half the race in the first place. The tyres can't do that distance. So I think it's going to be more of a question of who can keep consistent, who can keep clean, who can keep within the white lines best, and yeah, just sheer pace. So it should be an interesting one to watch. Let's have a little mooch further down the field, see what's going on, see what battles are brewing. We've got Agent Panda and Madman both in their own little battle. Brad has decided to do a tickle bit of a scenic route, unfortunately. Yeah, but mostly it's starting to spread out a bit. Dan closing that gap back in. He's fastest in Sector 2 this lap. So he's definitely building up some speed. He's getting right onto the back of that Williams up in front. The Red Bull is charging, trying to find a way through into the lead. He's just got that car in front of him, that's just making life difficult. It's one of those things, you get into that DRS, and then it's just so much hard, or say DRS, you get into that DTA, it's just so much more difficult to close the gap down, also because you're losing downforce, and especially in the wet, it's not something that you want. It's a little less in the wet, of course, because it disrupts the airflow, I guess. Because there's not as much grip, not as much downforce. So DTA is not that bad, but it still makes it harder. So we shall see. We shall see. Well, it's looking like it'll be good between them. It's looking like it'll be a good race between them. They've both got it in them to put on a good battle. Captain Subs has had a bit of a moment, unfortunately. That sent him back a few positions. It seems all fairly relaxed in the midfield to the back of the grid. KC closing up to the back of Blue Flag. But after that, it seems fairly quiet. Fred getting the front wing chains. If I put on my tinfoil hat, could it possibly be between? No, I don't think it would be between Bread and Chubs. I took my tinfoil hat off. I don't quite think that'll be it's a very strange one. I don't quite know what happens, unfortunately. good racing between the bunch nonetheless. So we're starting to get fairly quiet down the grid. Kieran managing to close that gap to Dan. Only 4 tenths between the two. The gap between Brutus and Dan has actually opened up a little bit. Probably about half a second. So it's given Kieran a chance to try and find his way back up to the lead here, but then he's also got that 3-second penalty to deal with, as does Kieran. Oh, there's Dan, sorry. Kieran's got 9 seconds of penalties. That's a very awkward spot he's in. Let's have a look. The gap from the leader is 1.8 seconds between Brutus and Kieran. Now 9 seconds back from Kieran. Let's have a look. That's going to put him near. That's going to put him near 8th if it stays the same as it is now at the end of the race. So Kieran's really got to try and put his foot down and force him, which is going to make things a lot harder for him. It's really going to have an effect on his end result of this race, unfortunately, which is not what we want to see. We want to see a fought out on track, but sometimes, especially with a circuit that's awkward like this with track limits, but also it's in the wet. It does make life quite difficult for the drivers. There's not an awful lot you can do about it. So he's just going to have to push on and do the best that he can in hopes for a good, well, to minimise the damage that has been done.
So let's see. All seems to be fairly quiet. All the gaps are starting to spread out, as you can see. We have got the gap to the leader on. We've got Mattman trying to make a move on Agent Panda. It's going around the outside of that first hairpin. So great. I was going to say it's been a great overtake, but Agent Panda has that exit. He take that tighter line and just launch out the corner. So he's going to try and get back down the inside on Matt, but can't quite get it done there. Can he go for the outside and maybe a switch back into this right? Not quite. A good battle in between the two. It's looking like Mattman is now up into P12. Agent Panda is not letting them get away easy. Definitely trying to fight back. Trying to make it as difficult for Matt as he can. But Matt's just absorbing the pressure. He's doing very well. As Agent Panda pops into the pit. That's a decision I did not expect. I thought it's all run to the end. Well, clearly, Agent Panda thinks different. This is Agent Panda's world and we're all living in it. So some gaps down at the back, the front's getting really close now. It's a second separating the top three. Got down just half a second behind Brutus. So we dropped back for a little bit. He's gaining right now. So he's trying his best to put Brutus under pressure. They're both running on low battery, the two of them. It's pretty much the same, just a couple % off. So there's not going to be a dynamic of, well, one driver's not really going to be battery to defend with, but one's got loads to attack with, so the other one's in ready to spot. They've all got, well, let's say before. They've all got pretty much the same battery. So, that's it, I said they've all pretty much got the same battery. Humans pretty much got twice of what they have. So it's just showing that you've got to manage your battery, especially when you're in a fight for the lead. These two are just going like hell. They're not worrying about the use of the battery, they're worrying about the pace they can get the car to move at. It's one of those things, even if Brutus does lose position to Dan, okay, you've lost position, but then there's the factor of Dan's also got himself that 3-second penalty. That's going to make life harder for Dan, because he's cleared them, he's got to get another 3, and that's not exactly going to be easy. They've been running at practically the same pace the whole race, so Brutus is looking in a very good spot, but Dan's looking punchy. Katami's managed to make his way back up into P6. He has 8 seconds of penalties. Nexus Cats has 9. There's looking like we've got a few guys without penalties, 3 guys without penalties. Currently got Ron with none. We've got Matt, who doesn't have one, and Captain Shubs, who hasn't got a penalty. Captain Shubs is left. We've got 2 drivers without a penalty, 3 drivers without a penalty, sorry. Yes, we do. Brutus, Oscar, and Matt. So, good driving from the 3 of those. We're keeping within those confines, and we're getting the most out of the car that we can. That's what you want to see. We were approaching the final stages of this race, and we've got 6 laps to go. On lap 22 of 28. And Brutus and Dan don't show any sign of letting up. Dan's getting very close to the back now. 3/10 separating the 2. So we'll see what we can do. Slipstream's not enough for Dan right now. Can't get close enough to try and move into the airpin without it being a dangerous lunge or dive bomb, for matter of fact. So it's all getting fairly quiet throughout the field. There's a little bit going on around these 2 Renaults. We've got Nexus Cats and Ron Elson fairly close to each other. But I don't see any going on with them for a few laps. But this battle up at the front is looking really good. What's happened here? Red, I don't quite know. That's not a safety car, is it? We've got another safety car coming out, I believe. Yeah, that's got penalty for speeding onto the safety car. I think that retirement of Brad would have caused that safety car. So the field has been reset once more. Now it's a question of playing cat and mouse. Are you just gonna pit now and go the last 5 laps and a nice first set of winter tyres, or just use the ones you've got now and carry on to the end of the race? It's one of those things. You don't want to be the one to pit in because the driver in front, this is just a situation between Brutus and Dan, you don't want to be the first one to pit in because if it's Brutus, he pits in, Dan stays out. Dan's pretty much won the race as long as he doesn't spin or gets a massive penalty. It's also a situation where Dan doesn't want to pit and Brutus stays out, and then he's got no chance of fighting for that win. It's a very tricky call to make. We'll see what he decides to do. See, Dan, looking to go on a pit, he goes, I don't know, Brutus isn't coming and I'll stay out. It's just one of those things you've got to do what the driver in front does, otherwise it's not going to go well. We have had a few guys pit in. We've had Cats, and Cats, no Cats, have pitted in. They'll drop a fair few positions because of that call, with a couple of guys pitting in behind them as well, but Max and Blue Flag. Yeah, another one coming in as well. So there were 5 guys that came into the pits. I'm not quite sure if that was actually the best call, because they've lost a few positions, also the lack of grip, to have another stab at them. But honestly, I don't know if that was the best call to pit in. You should just ride out the tyre that they've got. They're going to get an extra 3 laps under the safety car anyway, so this will be a 2 or 3 lap sprint to the end. So probably could have got away with going under the safety car, just staying out, go slow, nice on the tyres, don't waste fuel and energy, and then just attack for the last couple of laps you've got, and keep it facing the right way. So it's going to be a last couple of lap sprint between Brutus and Dan. Dan needs to try and get that move as soon as the safety car finishes, and then just put in some fantastic lap times to try and get that 3-second gap, so you don't lose it to the penalty. We shall see. Still got a good couple of laps to go. It cannot be flipped on its head dead easy. So we've got Pagani's notebook in the chat. So fresh entries don't bring as much speed as fresh dry tyres. Should be able to stay out unless they're going to explode. Which I'd have to say I agree with myself. These tyres could definitely do half a base. Even just a little bit more. They're quite durable, the wet tyres. But not when you do that, Dan. Not when you do that. It's going to have a bit of way to them, but they'll be able to hold out till the end. I'm almost certain of it. So I think either this or the next lap will be the end of the safety car. I don't expect the safety car to go out any longer. I do think it is 3 laps it stays out for. safety car in this lap. Hallfield's going to bunch up even more. Brutus is going to slow down as much as he can. Han's going to try and get in his head as much as he can. Just get his car as close to Brutus as he can to just try and match him when one stamps the throttle. It'll be interesting to see when Brutus decides to hit the gas, because this could make or break his race. We've got Tan right up against the side of him. So going slow. Brutus gets a 5-second penalty, and so is Agent Panda. We're very close between the two off the start. It looks like Brutus just got that bit of a better launch off the final corner than Dan did. But Kieran not quite able to get anything done into turn one. He was closed up a little bit. Next is Cat down the inside of his teammate, I believe that was, or Catanese, sorry. Oh, bit of banging and bumping there, going through that ghost car of Captain Chubs. But Catanese making a little bit of contact with Long. So that drops Cat a few positions. Position 2. So getting tight in the midfield. Not the best of camera angles, I should say. Gap's already starting to form a little bit on the first lap of racing again. And 7/10 between Brutus and Dan. 1.6 between Kieran and Dan as well. The penalties and the safety cars has really made life a lot more difficult for Kieran right now. 17 seconds have put him pretty much at the back, I think. If he was to finish at the same time. So it's definitely not been the easiest of nights for Kieran tonight. So he did well at the start, managed to have himself a pole position in the wet conditions. It looks to have all come undone for him, unfortunately. But Brutus has also done a brilliant job throughout all of this race, especially when he wasn't moving. He's managed to put himself in a position to obviously lead the race as he gets a little rearwards on the exit, or was he trying to break the toe? You never know. I have to ask. He's put himself in that position, or when something's worked out in his favour, he can capitalise on it and get faded in the lead. And he's doing a great job because he doesn't have a penalty either. I'm not sure if he even has a warning. He's done a great job so far tonight. That's Brutus. I think no matter how this goes, I think Brutus might want a beer after tonight's race because he's earned it. One gets himself a 3-second time penalty. A little bit of a battle going on here. Oscar, Cats and Cat. Catanese all over the back of that Renault, gaining pretty much a double slipstream. I expect him to go down the inside of the hairpin, not quite. Thinks the better of it. No real opportunity for him to try and overtake at this point of track. So we'll have to wait another few corners. Yes, his Cat's just trying to figure out a way that he can worm his car past that Ferrari. As Oscar's proven difficult to overtake. The gaps are close between the top two. I think it's going to be too big a gap for Dan to close down on the straight and go for the inside. Turn one, not quite, it's too far back. Also, not a Nexus Cat could do against Oscar either. So 4, 5 and 6 are staying the same so far. Catanese will be trying to figure out a way to get past both of them, but we are on the final lap. And we have got Brutus leading by just a second, 9/10 now. It's fluctuating a little bit. So a good job from these two fighting for the win tonight. Both clearly showing that they've got the pace to win it. But this battle for fourth, that was brilliant. All within a second. It's looking like Nexus Cats, if he's going to have a good shot, it's got to be this lap. It's got to be this corner. It's too far back to get it done. Oscar goes actually a bit deep, so does Kieran. This is actually going to give Oscar some breathing room. It's going to make life even more difficult for Cats. We've got two cars to deal with. That's down the inside, that Mercedes and the Ferrari's pushing his luck there. Well, it's looking like Brutus is going to come home to take the race win tonight at the American Grand Prix. Fantastic job from Brutus and Dan. P2 and P3. Oscar has just got P2 from Dan. Catanese is in P4, Max in P5, Rico in 6th, with Q Flag in 7th, AJ in 8th, Kieran dropped down to 9th with the summer penalties that he racked up. Nexus Cat has also dropped down to 10th because of the penalties he picked up. KC in 11th, Legion Panda in 12th, W11 in 13th with Matt 14th, Ron 16th, who's the final one to finish. Pretty good racing tonight, I should say. Gonna those intermediate conditions. I think Lee's gonna just turn it on to dry now. I think he's had enough of the wet. That Lee gives up. So a brilliant race tonight. It shows the only two people to not score penalties finish first and second. Oscar managing to climb up to P2 due to the second penalty that Dan picked up. Well, actually, there's 8 seconds of penalties that Dan picked up, allowed Oscar to get through into P2. Brutus Beer takes the race win, started third, he decided he was going to finish it in first. Managed to do with a mod stop strategy. I think played out well for him. The safety cars definitely helped. Played the race right and he won. It's not much else you could ask for. A fantastic race from Brutus tonight. Dan clearly showed the pace that he could be there for the win as well, but just the consistency within track limits wasn't quite there and it cost him a chance at the win. So some great racing tonight. Unfortunately there were a couple of technical stuff that made life harder for us. There's not an awful lot we can do about that, unfortunately. It's just one of these things that happens with the F1 games. It's unfortunate, but it's the curse of life, I suppose. I don't know if this isn't the checklist, okay? I got very confused for a minute. But we're Azerbaijan for next week. But that has been round 8 of season 15 for Kota. tomorrow night you have, I believe it is GT2 for Gran Turismo, and on Friday you have GT1 for Gran Turismo. Come on back next Monday, we will have the Performance League for the F1 side of the league. Then we'll be back to Div 1 and Div 2 across Tuesday and Wednesday. It's been a weird one tonight. I haven't done commentary for quite a while, so thank you. It's been a great race. Happy to be back for a bit, and enjoy your evening. Well done for the lads who managed to finish the race tonight. It's not an easy one, but it's all done now. Good job.